Woke up female. The morning started like any other, or at least I thought it did. My name is Alex Turner, 23 years old, and I'm just an ordinary guy with an ordinary life. I work as a junior graphic designer at a small studio downtown. My job isn't glamorous, but I love the creativity it allows, and it gives me the freedom to work on personal projects after hours. I live alone in a modest apartment, which smells faintly of coffee and the faint hint of paint from my latest design experiments. Even though my life seems simple, I've always had secrets. Small ones. Things I hide behind closed doors. I've dabbled in crossdressing, not out of necessity, but curiosity. There's a quiet thrill in slipping into someone else's identity, feeling textures of clothing I'd never wear publicly, experimenting with colors and makeup. No one knows, not my friends, not my coworkers, and certainly not my girlfriend, Emma. Emma is the smartest, most empathetic person I know. She loves me unconditionally, but I've always feared she wouldn't understand this side of me. And yet I kept exploring. Quietly. Secretly. Sometimes it was just a blouse or a skirt, sometimes a full outfit with makeup and stockings. Alone in my apartment, I could escape from the pressure of being Alex the guy and become someone else entirely. I won't lie, it was exciting, but it was also a little scary. That Thursday morning started like any other, with the sun streaming through my blinds. I rolled over groggily, rubbing my eyes. Something felt off. My body felt strange, lighter, curvier, and softer in ways that made me freeze mid-yawn. My hands brushed over unfamiliar contours, and a wave of panic surged. I scrambled out of bed and ran to the mirror, my pulse hammering in my chest. I couldn't believe what I saw. Staring back at me was not Alex, the guy who had gone to sleep last night. It was someone else entirely, a girl. My features were softer, my hair longer and flowing, my chest well. It was real. My reflection's wide eyes mirrored my disbelief. I shook my head, convinced I was dreaming, but every movement confirmed it. I had somehow woken up female. "Okay, Alex," I whispered to myself, voice trembling in the higher pitch that now came naturally. This is real. What the hell happened? I tried to think logically. Had I been drugged? Was it some prank? Some weird curse? Nothing made sense. Panic mixed with a strange flutter of curiosity as I touched my new hair, my new curves, my unfamiliar body. Everything felt surreal. Emma's face flashed in my mind. What would she say if she saw me like this? Would she understand? Would she freak out? My thoughts raced faster than my heart. I knew I had to hide this, at least until I figured out what had happened. My apartment suddenly felt too small, too exposed. I wrapped a blanket around myself and ran to my closet, scanning the clothes for something that would fit, or at least cover me. Nothing fit perfectly. Skirts and blouses hung awkwardly. Shoes were either too big or too small. I realized for the first time how differently I experienced the world in this body. Every movement felt delicate, calculated. My balance was off. My reflexes unfamiliar. The anxiety was overwhelming, but so was the thrill. Part of me, deep down, felt an odd sense of liberation. I was now forced into the experience I had only ever explored secretly. This body, these clothes, this perspective, it was like stepping into a secret world I had only imagined before. Then my phone buzzed. Emma's name flashed across the screen. My chest tightened. Could I answer it? Could I hide my new body? I swiped reluctantly, my hands trembling. "Hey, sleepyhead. Thought I'd call and see if you want to grab breakfast before work." Her voice was warm, cheerful, unsuspecting. I swallowed hard, trying to steady my voice, my new voice. Hey, Emma. Yeah, I'm up." She laughed. "You sound funny. You okay?" I forced a laugh. Too high-pitched, too unsure. "Yeah, just tired. Had a weird dream." Emma didn't press. She never did. That was part of why I loved her. "Okay, well, I'll come by in 20. Hope you're dressed and ready for pancakes." 20 minutes. 20 minutes to figure out how to hide the impossible. My hands shook as I rifled through my drawers, trying to find something, anything, that could cover the new curves I had never experienced before. In a panic, I grabbed a loose dress from my old wardrobe, the one I had once tried on in secret months ago. It was baggy enough to hide the shape, soft enough to move without tearing. I looked at my reflection again. The girl staring back at me wasn't just a disguise, it was me.
Part of me.
And I didn't know if I could return to my old life without shattering something inside. The doorbell rang.
Emma.
My panic spiked. I smoothed the dress, tugged at my hair, and tried to imagine I was still Alex, the same Alex she knew. But deep down, I knew this day would change everything. And I wasn't ready. The moment Emma stepped into my apartment, I felt my chest tighten. Every instinct screamed at me, hide.
Pretend.
Don't let her see. But it was too late. The dress I had grabbed in a panic clung to my unfamiliar curves in all the wrong, or right, places, and my hair, though hastily brushed, framed a face that was both mine and yet unrecognizable. Emma's eyes widened slightly. Alex? You all look different. Her voice was gentle, a mix of curiosity and concern, but I could feel the subtle tension underneath. I had a weird dream, I stammered, trying to keep my tone casual. Felt different when I woke up. She tilted her head, studying me. Different how? I forced a laugh. You know, dreamlike. Weird hair. Weird everything. She smiled softly, reaching for my hand, but I flinched. My new sensitivity, the way my body moved differently, made me hyper-aware of every touch. Maybe you need coffee. Or pancakes. I'm making both. I nodded, barely able to keep my balance as I followed her into the kitchen. Each step was foreign. My muscles had adapted to a body I didn't know, and every movement felt exaggerated. I caught a glimpse of myself in the refrigerator's reflective surface and froze. That wasn't Alex, not completely. It was her. Emma chatted as she cooked, her voice a comforting anchor, but my mind raced. How could I explain this? Could I explain this? Or should I even try? The fear of rejection mixed with a strange, secret thrill. My inner voice whispered, maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe this could be fun. I kept my hands hidden behind my back as she served breakfast, my nerves making them shake despite my efforts. The scent of syrup and coffee filled the apartment, grounding me slightly, but the tension never left. Every glance Emma gave me felt like a test. After breakfast, she suggested we go for a short walk. It's nice outside. Fresh air might help you feel like yourself again. I nodded, stepping cautiously, heels clicking softly against the floor, another foreign sensation that made my heart race. Each step made me aware of the sway of my hips, the weight of my chest, the way my clothes clung to me. Outside, the sunlight highlighted every feature of my new body. Strangers walked past, oblivious, but I felt exposed, hyper-aware, vulnerable. I kept my hands folded in front, trying to hide the unfamiliar curves. Emma chatted happily, unaware of the storm inside me, and I envied her confidence. Returning home, the reality of the situation hit harder. Alone, I could experiment, explore this body, and maybe even enjoy it. But the fear of Emma discovering the truth lingered like a shadow. I couldn't fully relax. Every knock at the door, every sound outside, reminded me of the precariousness of my situation. I approached the bedroom mirror cautiously, examining myself. My hair fell softly around my shoulders, my dress fluttered with each movement, and my reflection revealed a face that was both familiar and foreign. I reached up to touch my lips, tracing the delicate curve, the softness, the entirely new sensations. My pulse quickened, not just with fear, but with a strange excitement. Experimentation became a silent ritual. I tried on different clothes, explored makeup, and tested accessories. Every item I put on brought a new wave of emotions: exhilaration, embarrassment, pleasure, and anxiety. I applied mascara carefully, feeling the brush against lashes I had never had before. I painted my lips softly, marveling at the transformation. The physical changes weren't the only challenges. Mentally, I wrestled with my identity.
Who was I now?
Alex, the guy who had gone to sleep last night? Or the girl staring back at me in the mirror? The lines blurred with each passing hour. I practiced walking, speaking softly, and mimicking gestures I had never considered before. The world felt different through this body, slower, more deliberate, more observant. Hours passed, and the constant awareness of Emma's possible return kept me on edge. I could hear noises outside, a neighbor's dog barking, footsteps on the stairwell, the occasional honk of traffic. Every sound made me freeze, my heart racing. I imagined her walking through the door, smiling, oblivious to the secret I now carried. As the day went on, I discovered both the vulnerabilities and the pleasures of my new form. Sitting on the couch, legs crossed delicately, I felt a strange power in the way I moved, the way clothes draped, the softness of my skin. Yet, each moment of comfort was edged with fear. What if Emma noticed something? What if I could never return to being Alex? The first major internal conflict arose when I attempted to walk across the room in heels. My balance wavered. A misplaced step nearly sent me tumbling. Panic surged, but I also felt a thrill, a blend of danger and excitement I had never experienced before. Every stumble reminded me how delicate this world was, how careful I had to be. By evening, I had practiced makeup, outfits, and walking enough to feel a fragile confidence. Yet, the anxiety never fully left. Every mirror, every reflective surface became both a tool and a threat. My reflection was a reminder of what I had become and what I had lost. Then, a sudden sound made me freeze. The front door clicked. Emma's voice echoed through the hallway. My heart slammed into my chest. I had only minutes, seconds to hide, adjust, and pretend. I ducked behind a curtain, holding my breath. Emma entered, humming softly, carrying a small bag. She glanced around casually, oblivious to the transformation taking place just a few feet away. My pulse raced, adrenaline surging through my veins. I realized something important in that moment. Survival wasn't just about hiding. It was about embracing the persona I now inhabited, if only temporarily. Every action, every gesture, every breath had to convince not only Emma, but myself that this new identity could exist in the world safely. As she settled on the couch, I took a deep breath, smoothing my dress, adjusting my hair, and preparing for the next challenge. The thrill, the fear, and the excitement intertwined in a dangerous dance. I was learning, evolving, and discovering a side of myself I had never known. But the true challenge, the one that would push me to the edge, was still ahead. Emma would return again, friends might drop by unexpectedly, and I had no idea how far this transformation would go, or how much of me would remain when it was all over. Alone again, I stared into the mirror. The girl I saw was alive, alert, and impossibly real. The Alex I had been yesterday felt distant, almost like a memory. I realized then that life had irrevocably changed. Every choice from here on out mattered. Every move could reveal me or empower me. And as the night drew in, I knew one thing. I couldn't escape this journey.
Not yet. Not now.
The first day had been survived, but the real test was only beginning. The following morning, I woke with a mix of dread and anticipation. My reflection in the mirror no longer shocked me. My body, my face, my very essence had become disturbingly familiar. But familiarity didn't lessen the stakes. Today, Emma had planned to bring her friends over for a casual brunch, a perfect scenario for an unexpected disaster. Every instinct screamed at me, "Don't let them see you like this." I spent the next hour preparing. Makeup, hair, dress, heels, all meticulously applied. Each movement felt like a ritual, a test of precision. My hands trembled slightly, but I forced calm, remembering every lesson I taught myself since waking as a girl. Balance.
Poise.
Confidence. Survival. When the doorbell rang, my pulse spiked. Emma greeted her friends cheerfully. I peeked from behind the hallway corner, my breath shallow, my heart pounding. They hadn't seen me yet, and I needed to keep it that way, at least until I could gauge the risk. "Alex, come join us," Emma called cheerfully. I stepped forward, each movement deliberate. The moment our eyes met, Emma froze, a flash of surprise crossing her face before she masked it with a smile. "You're early today?" she asked casually. I nodded, forcing a soft laugh. "Yeah, thought I'd help set the table." Her friends exchanged glances, slightly curious but polite. "Nice to see you," one said. "You look different?" I felt my chest tighten. Different wasn't a lie. My voice wavered slightly, higher than usual. Thanks," I muttered, adjusting my hair nervously. The brunch continued, with me desperately trying to mimic my former confidence, slipping into habits and gestures I thought I had learned well. Every interaction was a minefield. Every laugh, every sip of coffee, every casual comment was a delicate balancing act. Then came the first close call. One of Emma's friends, Sophie, leaned closer, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Alex, you've got a new haircut?" Panic surged. Yeah, kind of," I stammered, forcing a smile. "Wanted to try something new." She tilted her head, studying me. Looks good though. Very soft." I swallowed hard.
Soft.
That word echoed in my mind, a reminder that my transformation wasn't subtle. I was becoming someone else entirely, and they noticed. The brunch went on, each moment increasing my tension. I laughed at jokes I barely understood, made comments that sounded natural but felt rehearsed, and balanced my movements carefully to avoid drawing attention. My body still felt strange, lighter, curvier, more sensitive, and every touch of fabric, every sway of my hips was an exercise in control. Then disaster struck. A gust of wind from the open window caught the hem of my dress. I froze, eyes wide as the skirt flipped slightly, revealing a hint of stocking that didn't match the outfit. Sophie noticed immediately.
"Oh."
"Careful," she said lightly, but her gaze lingered a moment too long. I forced a laugh, tugging the skirt back down. "Yeah, these new heels make everything feel tricky." Emma smiled, oblivious, but my pulse raced. One more slip, one more glance, and everything could unravel. The afternoon dragged on, tension and thrill intertwining. I found myself becoming more comfortable in the persona, slipping naturally into gestures, expressions, and speech patterns. Yet every compliment, every friendly glance, made my stomach churn with anxiety. What if they realized? What if Emma saw the girl I had become and didn't understand? Then the true twist arrived. The doorbell rang again. Emma's friend, Mark, a colleague she had mentioned before, was here unexpectedly. He was tall, confident, observant, exactly the type who could notice subtle differences. I froze as Emma ushered him in, trying to mask my panic. Mark shook my hand firmly. "Alex, didn't expect to see you today." I smiled, voice steady, and replied, "Yeah, just helping out." But Mark's gaze lingered a moment too long, scanning my features, my posture, my voice. The tension inside me skyrocketed. I felt exposed, every nerve alive with fear. Emma, unaware of my inner turmoil, poured drinks and chatted cheerfully. I clutched my glass tightly, knuckles white. My mind raced for escape plans, for ways to recover if I was found out. Then, the most dangerous moment yet. Mark leaned slightly closer, whispering jokingly, "You've got a new energy today. Feels different somehow. Are you feeling okay?" I froze. My heart thumped painfully against my ribs. My mind scrambled for a response that sounded casual. Yeah, just energized," I muttered, forcing a grin. Mark raised an eyebrow, unconvinced, but didn't press. I exhaled slowly, a temporary reprieve. But the real challenge wasn't over. Later, while helping clear the table, my heel caught on the carpet and I stumbled. Emma's friends turned just in time to see my near fall. Panic surged. I grasped the edge of the table, steadying myself, feeling every muscle tense with fear. Emma's eyes widened slightly, but she smiled and said, "Careful, Alex." I nodded, heart racing, aware that the smallest mistake could reveal everything. Then, the symbolic moment hit. I went to the bathroom to collect myself, staring into the mirror. My reflection, the girl who was me, the girl I had to become, was unmistakable. My dress clung perfectly, makeup slightly smudged from nerves, hair slightly tousled. And in that moment, I understood fully. The transformation wasn't just physical. I had become someone else, someone who could navigate the world in ways I hadn't imagined. But the exhilaration came with a cost. The fear, the secrecy, the thrill of being caught. It was addictive. I realized I was standing at the edge of a new identity, one that might not be reversible. I returned to the living room, balancing carefully, every step deliberate. Emma glanced at me with affection, oblivious to the storm inside. Mark's gaze lingered briefly again, sharp and observant. And I understood in that instant that survival meant not just hiding, but embracing the persona I now inhabited. The afternoon faded into evening. Emma's friends left, each goodbye filled with subtle compliments that made my heart race. Alone with Emma, I felt a mix of relief and dread. She hugged me, smiled, and whispered, "You were amazing today." I forced a smile, the adrenaline leaving my body slowly. "Thanks, just glad it went well." But the moment of calm was fleeting. My phone buzzed, a notification I hadn't expected. A message from an unknown number. "We know. Watch carefully." My blood ran cold. Someone else knew. Someone else was watching. Emma, unaware, leaned against me, and I realized that the real challenge was only beginning. The thrill, the fear, and the suspense were far from over. And deep down, I couldn't help but wonder, how far would this transformation take me? The apartment was quiet now, dimly lit by the soft glow of the evening sun filtering through the blinds. Emma had gone to freshen up, leaving me alone with my thoughts, my reflection, and the creeping tension that seemed to thrum through the walls. My phone buzzed again, another message from the unknown number. "You can't hide forever." I sank onto the couch, heart pounding. The words made every nerve in my body tingle with fear. Who was watching me? How did they know? And most importantly, what did they want? My mind raced through possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. I glanced at the mirror across the room. My reflection stared back, a perfect, feminine version of me. Soft features, long hair, the subtle curve of my waist. It was me, but it wasn't me. I touched my cheek, tracing the smooth skin, and felt a jolt of vulnerability. For the first time, I questioned if I would ever be able to return to my old life. Could Alex survive in this new body? Or was this girl me now? The sound of footsteps on the stairs made me freeze. Emma returned, holding a towel and humming softly, unaware of the storm inside me. "Everything okay?" she asked, smiling. I forced a smile back. "Yeah, just thinking." Her eyes softened, but something in her expression made me uneasy. She wasn't suspicious, not yet, but what if she discovered the truth? What if she realized that I wasn't just experimenting, that I had truly changed? I tried to focus on anything else, the furniture, the dim light, the hum of the refrigerator, but the tension was inescapable.
My phone buzzed again.
I dared not look. The unknown watcher had become an omnipresent threat, a shadow looming over every movement. Then I heard it, a soft knock at the door. I froze, pulse spiking. Emma didn't hear it at first, busy drying her hair, but I could feel my body tense, ready to react. I held my breath, calculating. Should I answer? Should I hide? The knock came again, louder this time, deliberate. My stomach dropped. Whoever it was, they weren't leaving. The sound echoed in the apartment, a rhythmic warning. Emma turned toward the door, puzzled. "I'll get it," she said casually, but I lunged forward, placing a hand on hers. "Wait, maybe it's a mistake." She looked at me curiously, and for a moment, I wondered if my body, my voice, my posture, all of it, would betray me. The door opened slowly, and a figure stepped inside. Shadowed, tall, indistinct at first. And then recognition hit me like a lightning bolt. It was someone I knew, someone who had seen me before, someone who could expose everything. "Alex," the figure said, voice low, almost a whisper, but sharp enough to slice through the tension. "We need to talk." Emma's eyes widened, Her voice caught somewhere between curiosity and alarm. Who is? I didn't answer. My chest tightened. My body felt simultaneously fragile and hyper-aware, every instinct screaming that the next moments could change everything, forever. The figure stepped closer, and I caught a glimpse of the face in the dim light. My heart stopped. And then, just as suddenly, the door clicked shut behind them. I realized in that instant I was trapped, not just physically in this apartment, but emotionally, psychologically, in a reality I had never imagined. The unknown watcher, the unexpected visitor, the secret that only I knew, everything had converged in this single, terrifying moment. Emma's gaze met mine. Her eyes were wide, searching. Alex, what's going on? I opened my mouth to speak, but the words died before they left me. Because even I didn't know the full answer. All I knew was this. My life, my identity, my very sense of self had been irreversibly changed. And the next chapter, whatever it was about to begin. The screen fades to black, leaving only the echo of my racing heart and the whispered uncertainty.
Who is watching?
Who knows? And what will happen to Alex, now that Alex is her?